So good to have you join us today. Hello and welcome to Business Daily. I'm Jung in Seoul. We have a lot lined up for you today, so let's get started with the day's highlights. We take you to the Pangyo startup campus that opened today and look at how this massive complex is expected to help Korean and foreign startups realize their dreams. More companies around the world are combining forces to cut down excess capacity and costs, pushing the global M&A market to its highest value on record last year. We sit down with an expert to find out more. A massive creative economy startup campus opened today in Korea's main information technology hub, the town of Pangyo, which is just south of the capital Seoul. And at the opening ceremony, President Park Geun-hye said the three-building complex is expected to work as a base camp not only for Korean, but also for foreign startups. Our Song Jae-sun tells us more.
Marking the opening of the huge Startup Support Center, President Park started off by mentioning the Baduk or Go match between Lee Se-dol and AlphaGo last week, in which the Google-developed artificial intelligence program won 4-1. She said with the advent of the fourth industrial revolution, Korea must come up with creative ideas and innovative products to survive, which is what her administration has advocated for the past 3 years, with a national chain of 17 innovation centers that are now fully operational.
이제는 기존의 모방형 경제 성장 방식으로는 안 됩니다. 창의적 아이디어와 신기술을 결합한 창조 경제를 일으켜 세상에서 유일한 새로운 상품, 서비스, 기업을 만들어 내야만 무한 경쟁을 뚫고 살아남을 수 있습니다.
Housing over 200 startups, the Pangyo campus will cater specifically to tech companies in the fields of Internet of Things, cloud computing, big data, and mobile. And with additional facilities for international exchanges also planned, the Creative Economic Valley will be complete by next year.
스타트업 캠퍼스가 우리 창업 기업과 세계 시장을 연결하는 관문이 되기를 바랍니다. 우리나라의 우수한 스타트업 생태계를 국제사회에 알리고 해외 투자자를 연결하는 든든한 가교 역할을 해주기를 바랍니다.
In addition to helping domestic startups expand overseas, the campus will also seek to attract prospective foreign startups through a competition to be held in the second half of the year. President Park pledged her full support for fostering the new center as Asia's startup hub, where talented youth from abroad can gather to realize their dreams of launching innovative startups. Song Jae-sun, Business Daily.
So with high hopes that the opening of the Pangyo Creative Economic Valley will help the government build up its much-aspired creative economy, our Kim Ji-yeon tells us that this new startup campus is where ideas coupled with ICT can be turned into new businesses and even create more jobs.
The Creative Economic Valley in Pangyo is expected to help people turn their creative ideas into a real business. The Korean government has set aside nearly $35.7 million for the campus, which is spread across more than 17,000 square meters of land. The campus is divided into 3 main buildings. The first 2 are connected, and the whole facility is called the KICT Innovation Hub. It will be in charge of creating a database on Korean startups and their products for foreign investors and buyers. Almost each floor of the 8-story building supports a different center for startup activity. A few examples are the IoT Center, which will foster 27 teams of Internet of Things experts a year by partnering startup members with leading conglomerates. The Big Data Center will train 60 teams annually to support startups using big data technology, while the Grand ICT Research Center will partner up with some 20 institutions to recruit highly trained young people. But the Tech Valley is not only about nurturing local startups. The third building, called a K Global Startup Hub, will seek to attract leading foreign startups and help them expand their footprint in Korea and other Asian countries. One of its inbound programs for foreign startups is the so-called K-Startup Grand Challenge, where 40 foreign companies will be given the opportunity to network with their Korean counterparts, along with special visa support so they can do business in the country with greater ease. Kim Ji-yeon, Business Daily.
The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to hear Samsung's appeal against the massive damages it was ordered to pay for infringing upon Apple's design patents. The court announced on Monday that it had accepted Samsung's petition following a 2012 district court ruling that forced the Korean company to pay Apple $548 million in damages. If the court sides with Samsung, it could get up to almost $400 million back. It marks the first design patents case the highest U.S. court has taken up in 120 years. And more on Apple. The tech company has unveiled its latest line of products, including the 4-inch iPhone SE and a smaller version of iPad. The new iPhone returns to its smaller display, which looks similar to the iPhone 5S, but features the latest technologies such as Apple Pay and the company's fastest processor used in iPhone 6 models. The 9.7-inch iPad Pro features a new display system, improved speakers, and it's compatible with the Apple Pencil. Apple also released its iOS 9.3 software called CareKit, which can help patients and medical professionals use their phones in healthcare. As far as global mergers and acquisitions are concerned, 2015 was an impressive year with M&A deals worldwide surpassing the $5 trillion mark. And companies around the world seem to be using consolidation as a way to overcome weak economic conditions. Take a look.
Companies around the world spent a record $5.04 trillion on mergers and acquisitions last year, according to global financial data provider Dealogic. This boom in the M&A market comes as global economic growth is sputtering and low interest rates are pushing companies to converge. Analysts say the recent boom reflects the need for firms to adjust to a world of prolonged low growth and disinflation by tackling overcapacity and reducing costs. Korea's closest neighbors, China and Japan, have been stepping up their global M&A drive to get their hands on advanced technology and stronger brand power. In fact, according to Bloomberg, Korean companies engaged in cross-border M&As worth $10.69 billion last year, while the total value for Japan hit $70.1 billion and $95 billion for China. So even though Korea's domestic M&A market boomed last year, hitting a record high of $87.5 billion, experts say the country still has a long way to go in terms of M&A deals that transcend borders.
And to tell us more about this, Professor Yang Jun-suk from the Catholic University of Korea joins us in the studio today. So good to see you, Professor.
Happy to be here.
All right, so last year was an extraordinary year for global M&As, right? As we saw record high volume and activity in M&A market, surpassing $5 trillion for the first time ever. So what could be the reason behind this boom?
Okay, well, there's two big reasons. Both are related to the global recession. The first is that the demand has fallen, and a lot of these companies do not believe every one of those companies can survive. So they want to consolidate, join with other companies, so put them in a better competitive position to survive. And then the second reason is because of the global recession, because of the fallen demand, the value of some of these companies have gone down quite a bit. So they make up a pretty cheap buy for some of the companies who want to actually expand to prepare for after the recession.
Now, considering Korea's current economic situation and industrial structure, do you think we're in need of more global M&As then?
Okay, well, I think so. As part of the structural readjustment of the larger companies like the Jables. The Jables, because of the reduced demand, find that some of their areas where they're working is doing well, some are not. So they're in the process of consolidation, buying and selling subsidiaries so that they can concentrate more on their specialties and buying and selling their subsidiaries and buying some of their subsidiaries, both domestic and foreign, is just going to be part of their strategy for them to concentrate on certain areas of expertise.
Now, not to mention that last year, Korea's M&A market also boomed, hitting a record high of $87.5 billion to become the third largest among Asian economies. But then still, when it comes to M&A deals between Korean companies and foreign companies, it seems that Korea is lagging behind compared to other advanced countries.
When Korean companies, especially chaebols, want to invest abroad, they usually go for what's called greenfield investment, which means completely setting up a new company abroad. And I think that's because Korean companies don't really like M&As all that much. You see Korean companies defending themselves against M&As from foreign investors a lot of times. So we've seen that in Samsung last year. We've seen that in SKC a few years ago. So they don't like M&As, and they don't like getting attacked by M&As, so they don't like doing M&As either. And another reason may be that they're not used to M&As with foreign countries. You have to adjust to the existing foreign workers and how to get them working together with Korean managers. They've done that somewhat in the United States for the automobile companies, but I think Koreans still find that a very hard thing to do.
Now, I know you mentioned it a little bit just now, but what could be some big examples of a successful global M&A that we saw in the past involving Korean companies?
Okay, well, Samsung has been doing a lot of buying and selling its subsidiaries and buying other companies as part of its strategy. And one of the examples that gets mentioned a lot is what's the Loop Pay company that Samsung has been using to augment its Samsung Pay apps for their smartphones. And they've been buying a lot of other companies as well to work on their SSD disk technology and cloud memory technology. And then you have Doosan Infracore, which has bought a construction equipment company called Bobcat, and apparently that's been making a lot of profits as well. And then Fila, subsidiary in Korea, Fila Korea, actually bought out the mother company. So now they're working globally, just making Fila products like athletic shoes.
All right, well, because of those good reasons, I guess, the successful examples that we saw now, China seems to be actively stepping up its global M&A efforts. Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, well, China has been buying up Korean companies. A lot of people think partially because of the Korea-China FTA, which made investing in both countries a lot easier. So China has been acquiring a lot of companies, mostly in technology and what the Chinese consumers want. So the Chinese companies have bought out little technology companies, or the most famous example is Sangyong Motors, where some people accuse the Chinese of taking out their technology and then just dumping the firm. But they've also bought a lot of Korean entertainment companies because Chinese consumers apparently love Korean dramas and music. And they also bought a baby product company, Agabang, because, well, they've just given up their one-child policy, and apparently Chinese parents love to have more babies. And for Agabang, this was an opportunity because, well, the number of babies in Korea are falling. And they see this as an opportunity to really get into the Chinese market. So that was a win-win situation for both.
All right. Well, but then concerns are that if Korea actively engages in global M&As, like you mentioned before, there are concerns that Korea could be handing over its very own technical skills and brand power to other countries.
Well, that's a concern. But first of all, we have to figure out why some of the Korean companies which own these technologies seem to be so undervalued. Well, in economists speak, price is what the market decides. And while we may think that we sold it too cheaply, there probably is a reason. And a lot of people find that reason in Korean regulations. These companies cannot expand as much as it should. So I think the first defense against selling these companies for too low a price is actually getting rid of a lot of barriers and regulations which do not allow these smaller firms to take full advantage of the technology and raise the value of their companies, so they will be too expensive to buy.
All right. Well, now experts believe that this year the local M&A market will continue to expand thanks to the so-called One-Shot Act, which was actually designed to support and help global M&As as well as local M&As, and also for corporate restructuring efforts. How is this expected to actually help M&As, and what other measures do you think are needed in order for Korea to step forward in the global M&A market?
Okay, well, the one-shot law allows the company managers to make moves on M&As more quickly. It bypasses some of the stockholder notification policies. And, we've seen in the past that some small number of stockholders can really hold up M&As with controversial M&As, which hurt the expansion plans of the companies a lot of times. So the one-shot law should help alleviate that. But there's also concerns that, because the stockholders' opinions are being ignored to an extent, it may weaken Korea's corporate governance, which is a problem with Korean companies to begin with. So it should help global M&As, but we hope that it doesn't make global M&As too easy, so they don't make any really bad decisions.
All right, let's hope to see more of that. Thank you so much for coming in today, Professor.
Thank you.
That brings us to the end. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with more business news that matters to you. Until then, goodbye.